For chapter 3 in social studies, I'm going to do some videos that instruct or give kind of a lecture about some things that are in the book. And then I want you to read the book, read the chapter or the pages that I tell you to. And then there's some workbook pages to complete. But I want to give you kind of some overview stuff. Uh, this is a really important chapter in kind of the whole scope of history, and one of the most important things happened within this time frame. So let me set the time frame up for you. So we have what we've been talking about is from about 4 million years ago up to today, 2020. Um, but the main thing we were talking about the first hominids. So you have Australopithecus who lived in this 4 million, 3 million years ago. And then we have, starting around 2 million, we have Homo habilis starting to create some tools. We have Homo erectus, which was really important because fire. And once you have fire, then you can migrate, you can move around. Okay. Then we have Neanderthals. Then we have Homo sapiens sapiens, the hominid that's most closely related to modern humans. And then we have modern humans, which is who we are. Okay, so that kind of 4 million years to today, that's a huge amount of time. And not a lot was happening. And this is all prehistoric. So remember, prehistoric means it's before written history. So we don't know a lot, but we know through discovering some of the bones and artifacts and things, we were able to put some of the pieces together. Those social scientists were able to put evidence together and make some conclusions about what was going on. I want to narrow in, narrow in. It's a really big time frame from 2 million years to 3000 BCE. And remember, BCE means before the Common Era. So we are 2020 CE. So we are in the Common Era. Everything from 0 forward is Common Era. Everything before that is called before the Common Era. So from 2 million to 3,000. That's a lot of years. This is called the Stone Age. The Stone Age is between that time frame. And the Stone Age is broken up into two areas. You have something called the Paleolithic Age, Paleolithic Stone Age, and the Neolithic Age. Paleo means old or ancient. So we have the Old Stone Age, and Neo means new. So now we have this new Stone Age. All still the Stone Age, but there's something happens right here, about 8,000 BCE. Something very important, world-changing, life-changing, very critical. But we know that in the context of the whole thing, so we have Homo erectus within this time frame, and so within the Stone Age, we also get fire. So then we're able to migrate and go different places, and we're living in community, and we're making some simple tools, even getting into some more complex tools. The Neanderthals, they were getting into even more complex tools, sharp blades, things like that. But in this Stone Age, from about 2 million to 3,000, we have something at 8,000 BCE that happens. It's a major change. We go from nomadic, and nomadic means moving around, always going somewhere else, finding places to get food. You're going out, you're doing, you're finding, searching, nomadic, you're on the move. So we go from this nomadic to staying in one place, to finding the ability to not have to move around, to not have to look for food, to not have to go. and you can build community, and you can stay in one place. Now, one of the most critical things, the reason why they were moving around here was food. They needed to find food, they needed to survive. And so they would go hunting and they would be on the move. Um, but here, their whole way of thinking about food changed. And it changed with one idea: agriculture. Agriculture or farming. Um, this is where they did two really important things. They learned how to grow their own food. So now they're in control of their food supply a little bit. I mean, of course we have weather and nature and some things we can't control, but they could plant their crops and they could start to create a stable food supply, and that's critical. Um, the other thing they did was learn how to domesticate animals. Now, you might have a cat or a dog. It would be a domesticated animal, one that is able to be controlled by others. Um, Sometimes we feel like we can't control our dogs and cats, but we basically can. They're not wild. You either have wild animals or you have domesticated animals. And these domesticated animals are controlled by humans. Um, so we have lots of farmers today that have so many cattle and sheep and goats and domesticated animals, and we raise them. We raise the cattle. We raise the hogs. We raise and we keep them in our control. And then when we need the food, we use them for our food source. So we were able to domesticate animals, so to kind of control them, raise them, breed them, use them as a food supply, and also plant our own crops. And so now we're raising crops and food, and it's pretty amazing. Those two things changed everything. So domesticate animals and farm, grow food. Those two things, critical. And now life is so much different. Whereas before, in this Paleolithic time, this old Stone Age, you had to be nomadic. You had to be on the move. You had to be looking, where are the bison? Where are the animals? Where can I go to get food? Where are the berries and the fruit that's just growing on trees? So here we are hunters and gatherers. Okay, hunter and gatherers. You go on the hunt. You look for the food. You look and you gather the berries and you gather the fruit, but you're always moving. You can't stay in one place because, like, if you find a place where there's a lot of berries, you eat them all, and then you got to wait for them to produce more, and maybe you don't have time to wait, and if you go to where some animals are, you kill them, then the animals move on, then you got to move on. So they had different kind of shelters when they were nomadic, and when they were hunting and gathering, but they were always on the move. And nomadic is an important word to know. Nomadic. But then here, during this Neolithic age, we become farmers. Agriculture becomes a really important part. So now we're no longer going out and looking. We're creating our own where we're at. We're becoming in control of our food supply. And when you can control your food supply, and what they call that is they call that a stable food supply. If we have a stable food supply, that will change everything. And that's what farming was able to do. Farming created a stable food supply. Stable meaning constant, you can rely on it, it will be there for you. Um, we have a very stable food supply right now. If you go to Jewel, you will look in the shelves and you'll see lots of bread and milk and cereals and meat and produce and all sorts of stuff. You'll see a lot. And every once in a while it might get low in a certain area. Maybe there's a short supply of one thing, but there's always enough to eat, enough food that you could purchase and cook it up and eat it. And it's called a stable food supply. Okay? Now, some people don't have enough money sometimes to get the food, but we do have a stable food supply. Um, we are lucky that we have that. And we don't have to move around. We don't have to go from like Downers Grove to then go to Naperville, then go to Wisconsin, then go to Indiana, then go to all these different states or towns or communities looking for food. We got it right here. We got some food supply here. So we stay here. And that has a ripple effect that creates the way we do housing, the way we do community, the way we do all sorts of things. It changes everything. Because if you're doing this in this Paleolithic, if you're nomadic, a lot of your day is you wake up and you go in search of food. And you don't have time to do some of the other things. But once you settle down, you create a stable food supply, then it opens up a lot of new possibilities. So this was really important, and it happened about 8,000 BCE, which would be about 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago, this big change happened, and we no longer were hunters and gatherers or nomadic people, but now we have the ability through farming to create a stable food supply. Okay? So I want you to read pages 25 and 26. This is in your hardcover. So read those two pages and then complete page 17 in the soft cover. It's just one page. There's a couple activities. I want you to make some notes in there and think about that, the stuff that's in page 17. Okay? And I'll come back and I'm going to give you another lecture, and then there'll be more stuff to read and to do. But this is really important. And I want you to kind of get this time frame between 2 million and 3,000 BCE. And I want you to understand that there's two parts of the Stone Age. You have the Old Stone Age, the Paleolithic, and you have the New Stone Age, the Neolithic, and the change that happened, farming, which created stable food supply. And then in our next lecture, I'll talk about once you have the stable food supply, what can happen from there. And there are many things. So, okay, have fun learning about the Stone Age.